to the Sphere. This episode is sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance. For more information on increasing your cash flow, becoming your own money manager, and to schedule your complimentary personal finance strategy, contact the Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463. Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, Dr. Ashandra Batiste understands that one of the biggest obstacles is dental fear. The vision at Elite Dental Wellness is to ensure every patient is treated with respect, ultimate care, patience, and love. Call us today to make an appointment at area code 713-789-8680. Looking to advertise? Join the Sphere's vast demographic reach of thousands of people all over the world. Send an email today to advertise@thesphere.tv or call us at area code 832-772-7789.
Happy New Year, everyone! Welcome back. We're happy to.
Woo!
I I should have brought like.
Whoa!
I should have brought like streamers.
Yeah,
and
the
confetti.
kazoo, so we could.
We have been out for 2 weeks, but Happy New Year to everyone. I hope everyone's 2018 is off to an amazing start. My name is Kira Laws, and I'm one of your hosts for Society Now. And this is a show that endeavors to bring you riveting content that invokes, inspires, and ignites. This just ignites thought-provoking conversation.
That's the point.
I mean, you want to talk about something new. We're trying to leave all of 2017 in the past, doing something new for 2018. So new thoughts, new perspective, just enlightening everyone, giving everyone something, to things that make you say,
Come on, Arsenio.
Arsenio, shout out to Arsenio.
Shout out to Arsenio Hall.
Who was giving everybody life in the 90s.
Absolutely.
In the dog pound. All of that. So we have Senior Wapo back with us again. One more again. I feel like there it is. One more again. We have our, you're here. I'm so happy to have you back, and I know you have a lot going on for your 2018. Is about to be real lit, as they say.
Yeah, it's gonna be official.
It's gonna be real official. I'm really excited about what you got going on in cooking in the kitchen, right?
Yeah. We got some roast beef in the oven. We got a couple turkey necks stewing. You know what I'm saying? We got some just some good cooking ready.
Yeah, come on, cook.
I'm excited about 2018.
I'm excited.
I don't know if you saw that what's it called, the Bitmoji, the Bitmoji where they have 2017 dragging the trash out. We're throwing 2017 in the trash. Good and bad, because we can't bring it with us, right?
I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we throwing it in the trash, man.
Okay, let's throw the bad stuff and everything that you didn't want to happen in the trash. Don't bring any of that in. I mean, if you see it try to come pop its head up, be like, tell them it's not welcome here.
Right.
It is not. It's not welcome, because 2017 brought a lot of people a lot of headache.
It did. It was especially for Southeast Texas and the Gulf part of the country.
Period.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it was the last
States.
half.
Yeah,
quarter 3 and 4 was
kind of rough. It was really kind of rough, but everybody's surviving.
Praise God,
thriving. We're doing our best, and we're here.
We
made it. We're
here on Society Now. How can they get in touch with you?
Oh, you can follow me on Instagram at The Modern Day Cindy on Instagram. And how about you?
Listen, just go to Senor Wapo 713 on all social media outlets. Stay tuned.
Okay, we ready. Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's jump right into this.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I saw a really, really interesting article, and I thought this was ingenious. I know I'm into stuff like this. I think that it's important that we get to do things that are unconventional, and I think that we start doing things that maybe our parents and our foreparents didn't think of doing, or the sacrifice, I guess, maybe has shifted a little bit because they think that we don't have to sacrifice anymore. But I love hearing stories about this. So it was a young couple who decided they wanted to start saving money to build a house, and that's the pressure of a lot of young married couples, that they feel like they have to buy a house, right? And of course, I'm pro, if you don't have to buy it with debt, don't buy it with debt, right? And so this particular couple, they were living in a converted school bus. So it was an old school bus that was turned into a place for them to live, and they had been building their house with the thousands of dollars they would have spent on renting somewhere else. Now, most people in most larger cities, I can't include all cities, but I know some of the cities we've looked at, rent is like in the upwards minimum about $1,000, right?
Yeah, and that's cheap.
That's cheap now. Cheap. Like back in the day, rent was like $500-$600. Like minimum was $1,000. So they decided they were going to live in a converted school bus to save money to build a house. And now they're a couple of weeks away from completing this home. And it's not that it's a big house or anything like that, but it's their house. And that's the important thing. It's their house. They wanted to start their family off with as little debt as possible. And they're about to complete this house. And they're a few weeks away, I be for them bringing home a baby as well. So I think it was a really great sacrifice. There's a lot to say about that. What do you think about that?
It is, I
as a male.
Yeah, as a male, I love it. We are touted and we believe that we're the priest, prophet, and providers of our home, and oftentimes we look at provision in a very narrow way, that only for money and only for monetary things. But in this case, he was a thought leader and a thought provider for his family, because they came together with a goal in mind, with the sacrifice, to be able to really do something great for their family, and manage their debt, manage their financial situation, manage their portfolio, get some equity as well. It's just a great story about really thinking outside of the box, especially for a young couple, and getting things done.
I think it's amazing. I mean, would you think about a year and a half? Like, look at it, because it doesn't look bad, right?
No.
It doesn't look bad, but a lot of people wouldn't make that type of sacrifice, right? But the sacrifice they made is not going to go unmet, because again, they're about to move into their home, and their home is going to be completed, and it's their home.
It's their home.
It's their home.
It's their slice of the pie. Their first slice.
Their first slice of the pie, because we're not going to say that's the end. That's the beginning.
Indeed.
They have noted or realized something that most people don't realize. So shout out to this couple. I want to give them a one clap, because they deserve it. They deserve a one clap, because they're willing to sacrifice when other people wouldn't.
Straight up.
That's amazing. And it's a question for all the ladies out there. If you're listening, listen. If your man says, "Hey, babe, I have an idea. We can save tens of thousands of dollars if you trust me for 18 months to live here, while we're doing this, would you trust them?" It's something I really want to hear about. So y'all definitely send us an email.
We might need to put that on Facebook,
a poll
and see,
or something like that. Because I'm like, a lot of people wouldn't do it because they're worried about perception.
Yeah, man.
They're worried about what other people think. But here, they're almost at their goal, right? So it doesn't really matter what anyone thinks, because it's done. It's
they're
a done
homeowners.
deal. They're homeowners.
They'll be homeowners.
That's what's up.
That is what's
okay.
up.
So the internet has been going crazy. I mean, it actually started last night. I went to sleep, woke up, and everybody was raving about Oprah's Golden Globe speech. Now, Oprah is never at a loss of words. She always comes with something that you can, she keeps showing your toes, right? And when she speaks, the journalist in her, is, her way of, I guess, captivating an audience is like no other. I don't know how much time she put into the speech. I don't know if she actually pre-wrote it or that was just her flowing. But a lot of people were like, that's Mother Winfrey. She is amazing. And, she spoke about a lot of things. She talked about, her upbringing when she was a child, the sacrifices that her mom had to make, although it made, she had to endure some things because of it. She that was a sacrifice. She talked about when she first saw the Oscars, I believe it was, and she saw Sidney Poitier accept his award, and then some years later he accepted the same award she was getting. And then she talked about the experience of what's happening in Hollywood right now, and the time is up for the oppression.
Yeah, with the Me Too movement.
With the Me Too movement. And I think what she really drove home, because apparently there were 3 or 4 times where she got standing ovations while she was speaking. What she was really driving home is this is a shift, right? There's a shift, and a lot of people have been talking about it. A lot of people have been signaling about 2018 as a shift. And she's about this is the beginning of something that will never be the same. What are your thoughts about that?
I agree. I think that she gave kind of an exclamation mark of a rallying call, right?
Yeah.
That happened with the Me Too movement. And she's so brilliant in how she pinned this whole thing. One thing that I really hinged on outside of the Me Too movement and everything she was saying about that is how she really gave credence and kudos to the press.
That was important.
That was important because that's where she got her foundation. We forget we forget that she is a journalist by training, right? From Tennessee State. We forget that she's a journalist who for a number of years was a reporter, was an anchor. She was part of the Associated Press, right? And so she talked about how, the press is getting a bad rap, but she gave him a really an attaboy, a high five for those who are doing their job. So I think that was really, really big. As someone who's
and they're the voice, right? Because if they get the right message out,
absolutely,
then it changes the tide, right?
Absolutely, and so I think that was really, really powerful of her as well to do that, on top of the Me Too movement.
And I think another thing that was noted, and I'm sure everyone caught on to it, that most of the persons that went to the awards last night chose to wear black in solidarity for the Me Too movement. A lot of people were wearing the Time's Up pins, which actually was created by Reese Witherspoon. She came up with this idea to create these pins that say "Time's Up," that you didn't have to wear them Golden Globes night. You could wear them anytime.
Right.
But they're pretty much saying time's up for this treatment. It's time for us to make some changes. There were not too many, but a few people who didn't get the memo about the all black. But many people did. Just a few people, and I don't know if it didn't get to their inbox, but but they definitely was caught off guard with all the black on the red carpet.
Right.
But
and she even gave, I think, shout out to Reese for that, number one. Yeah. That's really, really dope.
Yeah.
Oprah, Mother Winfrey, Queen Winfrey, because I put on Facebook today, the Queen has spoken when I reposted it. And Queen Winfrey actually gave a little history about Rosa Parks. People didn't know
that Rosa Parks was actually a part of the team, the legal team for
NAACP.
NAACP. And this is before she sat on the back of the bus. This was years before.
11 years before.
11 years before. She was actually part of the Reese case where Reese was actually raped by, 6 or 7 white men. And she was, found that she was, but they were never prosecuted.
Right.
And this woman just actually died a few days ago. But she lived through all of that. So that, this movement is bigger than just what's happening in Hollywood now. It's really talking to people that have been muffled in their words and have been stifled, and their actions have been, it's just mischaracterized, for lack of better terms, mischaracterized.
Absolutely.
So I think what she said was powerful because I think, it's very easy to generalize or compartmentalize, what happens to say this is only happening in this area or this is only a big deal because it's happening in this area. However it happens, know that it's not an isolated incident.
Absolutely. She said, and I want to quote it. I was trying to find it, and you put it in our notes, and I lost it that fast. Where she talked about the people who are being affected. They are domestic workers, they are and farm workers, they are workers in factories, and they are workers in restaurants, and they are in academia, engineering, medicine, science. They are part of the world of tech and in politics and business. They are our athletes in the Olympics, and they are our soldiers in the military. Everybody is what she was communicating. Everybody's dealing with this.
And it's so interesting because I can tell you, when I first met you, I should share with you how some of the things I dealt with when I was a young person getting into my career, some of the comments that I had to deal with from persons who had been in their careers for many years. And it was interesting because I didn't, I being a very ambitious person, I chose
to say the least,
right? I heard what was said. I was affected by it because it did trouble me in terms of the sexist comments that were made about what I should do and what I should not be focused on at that age. And I tell people all the time, I said, at that age, I was young. I was in my early 20s. That could have crippled me. That really could have crippled me in terms of how far I would go in my career. And I had to make a choice at that moment how long I was going to stay at that place.
Right. And another thing that can cripple people, Kira, is lack of finances.
Come on, lack of finances.
And so if you need some help with it, this portion of the show is sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance.
I love them.
Did you know that only 4 states in the United States offer financial education, or more than 77 million Americans don't pay their bills on time? 39% of Americans carry credit card debt from month to month, and 39% of adults say they do not have enough savings. Please do not become one of these statistics. Let Houston Housewives of Finance advise you on increasing your cash flow and becoming your own money manager by scheduling your complimentary, that means free, personal financial strategy today. Contact them at 1-844-700-4463 or send an email to info@HoustonHousewivesOfFinance.com and ask them how you can participate in a complimentary, again, free financial literacy workshop near you.
It's
Houston
important to know.
Housewives of
It's
Finance,
free.
absolutely, are the new faces of the new age of financial services.
That's important.
It is.
Because sometimes people are scared about what it costs, but at least get the initial
At,
information.
at least
And
get
decide how you want to spend your money. It's either going to be on your money on your finances, invest on your finances, or on that I'm not even gonna say Red Lobster dinner,
right.
but something like whatever people invest their money on, it takes all the little cash when they go hanging out.
we might need to have society now might need to have a show talking about the difference between investment and spending.
Oh man, listen, I have to have the Houston Housewives.
Yeah, you know, like what is it?
Stories because
about-
the story about this young couple. I mean,
Yes.
they chose to
That's an
invest.
investment.
They invested,
Absolutely.
and they. I mean, it was school bus, yes or no, but it was really cool looking to me. I was like, I would actually make that a tour bus. It looked like a tour bus to me.
Right.
And
Listen.
that's me. That's me.
Get a tech job and just live
Look,
anywhere.
we know
Fill up the
people.
tank and then
We know.
we're a little different.
Okay, now let me tell you who else's time may be up. Now, I don't really, I don't know much about this man. All I know is what I know. Attorney General Jeff Sessions is being asked by GOP lawmakers, and for y'all don't know, GOP is actually the Republican Party.
The good old party is
The
what it
good old
means.
party. The lawmakers calling
Grand
for
old
him to resign, over the Russia probe. They're saying that some of the things he said and did was inappropriate. He definitely did not give full disclosure of his involvement, and they're asking for him to step down.
They should.
His time,
Period.
His time may be up.
Period. It's unethical. When as an attorney, and you can speak to this. As an attorney, if you have a breach of ethics, you can go before the ethics committee, be disbarred, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be censured. All of these kind of red flags. Why is he any different? I don't understand.
So this is my thought. For your question, he definitely needs to be called out because he's an attorney.
Absolutely.
He definitely needs to be sanctioned,
Absolutely.
censured, and everything else you mentioned. And in that, then it would follow that he wouldn't have his job. I don't think the protection of working in government or even working in a U.S. position should cover you like that.
It shouldn't.
I think that especially in a time where people are really concerned about integrity and ethics, this is something that's really serious. It has nothing to do with what party or which way you vote. It has something to do with what happened.
Listen.
And it goes to a deeper thing about too many people already think that their vote does not matter.
Right.
So when we're talking about voter tampering, how much involvement in the presidential election,
election rigging, electioneering is what it's called.
Electioneering, rigging votes, however it goes, the subliminal messages that were tailored via the algorithms on your social media. Now they have to, the other people have to say who actually is paying for the ad so people won't be misled. It's a serious situation because we are, we're human, and a lot of ways the communication comes to us make it seem like it's really valid and real.
If we can go through an impeachment process, right? There was no removal, but an impeachment process for President Clinton over his infidelity in his home, right?
Yes.
In his home that does not affect his job.
Yeah.
Why can we not go through the removal process of these cats in office now? That it's clear cut that there's some impropriety going on. I just don't understand.
I agree with you.
We're holding folks to different standards, and we cannot do that. He as an attorney, he's an attorney he's the highest attorney in the land, and his butt needs to be censured.
I agree with you. I think that this is something that I don't think this is going to go away as easily as other issues that we've seen go away. I think it's going to we're going to continue to hear about this until we get closure on it. And as you say, as we continue to get closure on certain things, stories keep popping up, and it's going to be interesting how this plays out as well.
So as we hear about it, just stay tuned. Just like our Facebook Live folks.
Absolutely.
We want you guys to subscribe to our show on all the major platforms, including iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher. Please review our tunes in iTunes and give us some feedback. Be constructive. Don't be mean now. And share this Facebook Live post. I can't talk. And the entire show with your family and friends. And donate. Donate to our mission to bring enriched and inspiring content each and every week. You can donate at, get your pen out, I'll wait. Okay, you ready? www.thesphere.tv/donate.
I love it. You just gave me an idea. My wheels started.
Yeah.
Something you did, and I was like,
Listen, I'll be your muse. That's fine. I'll be in.
I just had a moment, y'all. It's coming. 2018.
Hey.
About to be LIT. Liddy. Okay, so let's go here, y'all. There are everyone heard about this explosive new book that was written.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
Kaboom.
Kaboom, like lighting up the White House right now. And they had a lot of things that was said in the book about a lot of people who have been former employees of the White House, persons that were supposed to be very close to our commander in chief, and even things that people said was said during election time. One of the things that came out of this book was that President Trump never really wanted to win. His whole angle, and I think we talked about this during the angle. During the election, was he really thought that this would boost his notoriety so he can actually have some more leverage to get his own station on television. His friends was the guy from Fox, Alex.
Roger Ailes.
Excuse me, I would say his name wrong incorrectly, but that was his friend, and he never thought that it would actually go this far. His whole intention was to actually get more people backing him for a power play, not to become president. And apparently, it was said that through this book, now this is all through this book, that Melania, when he won, she cried because that was not the plan.
Right.
They never had plans on being a political family, because that totally changes the landscape of what they are, which we know that, I don't know them personally. We don't know them personally, but from what we've seen, it doesn't seem like they would be wanting to have a political run.
And Melania is no fool, right? Mm-hmm. Melania knows the scrutiny that she herself was going to come with. She's a former Playboy pinup. You see what I'm saying? She doesn't come from the lifestyle and the stock of first ladies historically. It just, everybody has a passion and has done what they're done, but it just doesn't fit the narrative, right? And it was a marketing ploy.
So you think the plan got screwed?
I think the plan got screwed. The plan got screwed, and I like to look for the silver lining in a lot of things, and so hopefully this book will give us some credence to a lot of the things that we've been thinking. And it exposes him. It has exposed the Republican Party, this presidency. It has exposed the American psyche for a number of our American brothers and sisters. There's been a lot of uncovering happening since the 2016 election. So,
I think that's why. Well, I can't say that's why. I'm not going to say that's definitive. But what I will say is, I want to know if the plan got screwed. Why would you not say, you know what?
Yeah, why wouldn't you concede?
Just concede. You know what? The popular vote is such that the people really want this person to be president, and I'll concede to that. Is that because of the party's preference not to? Is it because he just doesn't want to lose that way?
I think it's both. I believe, from what I understand about national politics, is the party wasn't in power. They wanted completely to run the government, both houses federally, both houses of Congress as well as the executive office, and then get the judiciary, which we'll talk about here in a second. So there was going to be a clean sweep of that. The Republicans, there hasn't been that since Reagan, right? And so they were looking for we can have a lot of power. So they got in his ear. Selling him on the president being so powerful and all this kind of deal. And number two, he's a competitor. He's a cutthroat shark business person who doesn't want to lose. So you're already a filthy rich billionaire. Your kids, your great grands are probably straight. I'm sure he set his family up for success right down the line. Now we're talking about legacy. Oh, now this is something. Wow, I can be a billionaire. I can be president. Oh, I don't really want that, but they, I think they got in his ear and sold it to him. So it's one of those things, man, that I wish he would have been like, I ain't really want. But then, what does that do for business? On the flip side, I didn't really want it. I just was playing around with the.
Well, you don't say that.
American,
what you say is, I think what you say is, it's obvious that the American people want this person as president, and in good faith or in something like that. Then I think it's best to give people what they want and let whatever happens. But my thought was, well, maybe they didn't do that because it might set a faulty precedent. Because what if that always happens, right? What if the people what's best for the country is actually not the popular vote? Yeah. So that has a lot. I think we've
seen it twice in our lifetime.
Yeah.
We've seen it twice in our lifetime where the popular vote said one candidate and the electoral vote said another. And this is with Al Gore, right? On Bush's first term, son Bush first term, and then we saw it again here with Hillary. So it definitely, you're right. That may have said something. It could be a slippery slope.
It could be a slippery slope. So
see, I be listening to my Law and Order and to my wife with these legal terms.
Somebody might have told you something. Now you brought this up, so I went ahead and grabbed our white knight.
Yeah.
So our white knight, I grabbed her and brought her to the front. Our white knight is Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and they're saying right now she is dashing all the hopes that President Trump has for actually announcing a new federal judge.
Yep.
What she did recently, actually last Thursday, she went and hired all new clerks that will serve her until 2020. Which means she has no way. She is not planning on stepping down or dying no time soon. Although she's in her 80s.
She's 84.
She hired new clerks until 2020, which means she is not trying to give him any leg room. Ruth is Justice Ginsburg. I don't know her like that to call her Ruth, but she.
Hey, Ruthie.
Hey, Ruth. No, but Justice Ginsburg was actually one who, during the election, she said, "I can't imagine what this place would be. I can't imagine what the country would be if he was our president." And of course, she called him some words. She called him a faker. She said he has an ego. She retracted some of those statements, and now when people ask her about him, she just kind of declines comment because she knows that. It's a scandal situation.
Right.
She's up in age, so she's kind of like, let me just not say anything else about it because you don't want the controversy to be about the wrong thing, right?
And then then the benches, the judiciary is supposed to be politically neutral,
right? So,
which has always been an interesting concept to me when they're chosen politically. Anyway, so that's another show, but I think it's really, really awesome. It just you know what, Kira? The fact that she did that, it just makes me smile. Like
she's a white knight.
She's a white knight. She
put on her white hat, and she's like, "I'm coming to save the day." I might have been considering retiring, however,
right
now that we know that we have this situation going on, I'm hiring clerks through 2020 because I don't plan on leaving. The only way I'm leaving out of here is through election.
So that thing just makes me smile.
I think that's amazing. And it makes me smile too.
Yeah.
This portion of our show is sponsored by who?
Elite Dental Wellness.
Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, our vision is to create a welcoming practice that will offer exceptional dental care and a lifetime of dental wellness. We are committed to our finest possible oral care and the overall health and well-being of our patients. Elite Dental Wellness is built upon a foundation of integrity, expertise, and service.
Yes.
Through our commitment to modern dentistry, continuing education, and a friendly atmosphere, we strive to make our patients feel that they are part of our family. Dentistry can be scary, daunting, and even uncomfortable. Dr. Baptiste and her team work tirelessly to ensure your comfort. Make your appointment today with Dr. Ashandra Baptiste at Elite Dental Wellness by calling 713-789-8680. Again, that number is 713-789-8680. That is a Dr. Ashandra Baptiste at Elite Dental Wellness.
Listen, go holler at Dr. Baptiste so that she can get your teeth together. Y'all see what I did there?
Yeah, we saw it. we can't unsee it.
See, you's a hater.
We can't unsee it. We can't. I'm just kidding. No, we saw it, and I think it was quite witty.
Thank you. You better edify me.
Quite witty. Okay, now let's talk about what happened over New Year's.
Yeah.
So New Year's Eve came and went, y'all. We turned a page, right? And in a matter of moments, everybody's life changed in Georgia.
It went from lit because they got lit.
They got lit. So there was a house party, a rented house that was a Christmas themed birthday party on New Year's Eve. That's a lot, right? An Atlanta Christmas themed birthday party on New Year's Eve came to an unfortunate end when cops arrested over 60 people, 60 African-American young people for what turned out to be for less than an ounce of marijuana because no one claimed the ounce. So 60 people now have charged with possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana because the ages are between 15 and 31.
Whoa.
So this is ages 15 and 31 who were attending a Christmas themed birthday party on New Year's Eve were at a party. The police came, arrived shortly after 2 a.m. because, of course, they're investigating the house because, of course, they heard it was noisy. And this house was a rented house that they paid for to have this party. And because no one claimed this ounce, because clearly it could have been dropped on the floor. The person could have had already left. We don't really know.
Right.
There's a lot of things that could have happened.
Right.
But the outcome of this, right now, the outcome is that 63 people were arrested. Their ages between 15 and 31. Each was charged with possession of less than 1 ounce of pot, as they said in the article. 1 ounce of marijuana in Atlanta, Georgia. Y'all, this is crazy.
You know,
because it's too many variables, right?
It's too many variables.
It's too many variables. No one should have got arrested.
Right.
For this.
And in light of, let me play angel advocate, right? In light of journalistic integrity, they did find us. There were some guns. A stolen handgun was found. They assumed some cocaine was some paraphernalia that looked like cocaine was found, but that was never given for the reason for everyone being arrested, right? And so it's one of those things that I'm curious is what judge would allow, or what DA or would allow these folks to be arrested off of less than an ounce of weed when there's 60 people there. Like, I don't.
So the problem with the story, what makes it problematic, because it was a rented house.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, right.
The house was
Airbnb.
rented. You don't know who the drugs belong to.
Great point.
And I'm hoping that the attorneys argue that you don't know who the drugs belong to. It could have belonged to the homeowner. It could have belonged to the person that rented the house last. It could have belonged to the cleaning service that comes to clean the house between people come, because it's an Airbnb type house.
Right.
I'm not saying it's an Airbnb house, but it's that type of house. It's a house people rent for use. So anybody could have left it there, even the drugs and the guns. You see what I'm saying? We don't know who the house belonged to.
Right.
So with that in mind, should anybody be charged? Now, again, I can understand you want to detain people for a minute. Some of these people actually questioning now. Some of these people actually wind up losing their job because they were detained for 2 and 3 days.
Wow.
Yes. But the whole charges thing, I have a problem with, because
how are you detained 2 days for some weed?
You can't pinpoint. Wow. Well, this is the problem. So New Year's Day was on a Monday. If they didn't get out till Tuesday or Wednesday morning, early Wednesday morning, then they missed the whole day in work. Yeah. And if they couldn't use the phone, they're going to use that one phone call for family to get them out for bail or whatever. Some employers are like, you're a no-show. So it affected people's lives more than just, going to, and it's so weird because I know how your parents will say, watch where you go and stuff like that. This is one of those things, like, you don't expect some things to happen, but if I go to the party, I'm not going to claim something that wasn't mine. And I definitely not going to, I don't feel like I should go down for it either.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
I really hope the justice system works out in their favor, because there are too many variables. There's so much reasonable doubt. There's so much reasonable doubt. See, I listen. I'm telling you.
You do listen. Okay, now on the flip side. Not on the flip side, but on the flip side. Kind of back to the political landscape. Interesting, talking about jobs and people losing jobs. Fox News and CNN are always kind of pitted against one another as one being more conservative, one being more liberal. Fox News has just spoken out saying that they are verifying the fact that when President Obama was in office, he actually had the highest growth rate of jobs, and right now we're not experiencing that in the United States. Well, we already knew that, right? We knew that things had changed. A lot of things have changed so quickly. A lot of things that President Obama did implement was undone. And every time you undo something, you think about job loss. You have to think about it from that perspective. Job loss. So if you are cutting bills and if you are, severing certain programs, people are losing jobs. So it's kind of hard to have job growth if you're cutting jobs, right? If you're saying this program doesn't work. I think recently, I shared this with you, that it was reported that our current president, how do I'm gonna say this correctly? The current president let go of all the persons that were working on HIV/AIDS. What is it? Not campaign, but
just for pretty much working for the NIH, National Institutes of Health, and doing a lot of the research and trying.
I'm trying to find the proper word because I don't want to call the wrong thing, but he just recently, fired all those persons. Those are job losses. And when they go to and it's so interesting because when you go to file for unemployment, if you choose to file, but when you go file for unemployment, that's recorded. That's not job growth. That's job loss. Trying to cut money in an area that you think is unnecessary becomes an issue that's problematic because you're creating an issue on the other hand that is necessary. You need people to be employed.
To further build your point, the largest employer in the world is the United States government with about 2.9 million employees on average, right? And so even though they have different bureaus, different agencies, it's still the United States, the federal government. And so with almost 3 million employees, you start cutting those jobs, that in and of itself lets you know it's easy to track that, right? Because the unemployment is given from a state by state basis. And so it's just one of those things that it seems very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? It seems very common sense, right? That you're not going to have job growth if you start cutting jobs. But it's all it keeps in line with the Republican agenda, and that's to diminish government oversight, to diminish government outreach, right? And so if you cut down programs, you're lessening government. If you cut down programs, you're diminishing and cutting the reach that they have on its citizenry. So that's why it's being done, because they try to. The Republican Party is known as the party of innovation, and they try to say that we're innovative in creating job growth in the private sector because it benefits their constituency. Well, but it hasn't done it though, especially in this quarter because it's down.
And that's not a verifiable thing. It's because that I think that just only applies to whatever segment they're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely very. I don't want to. It's a bias in a statement like that, right? Because you're only looking at one variable. You're not looking at everything. And again, most of the programs are programs that are needed by the majority of persons, because we live in the United States, and the majority of persons that live in the United States are not wealthy. Yeah. And they're not.
Middle class is the largest class.
Middle class is the largest class, but we don't even, I'm not going to say we don't, but many people don't fall into the higher end of middle class. No. Many people are right in the middle or lower middle class, because some people who are considered middle class, depending on where they live, they might be considered on the line of poverty, and that's a serious consideration. So a lot of the programs that are being considered to be cut or have been cut are programs that many people need, and everyone that's using these programs aren't persons that are taking advantage, right? Are not abusing it, and are not people that are taking advantage of the system. Right. So it's just really interesting to just see how that works out.
Yeah, it is.
So this portion of our show is sponsored by The Sphere.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey. Are you starting your business and looking for a place to advertise? Do you have a need to reach out to thousands of people across the world to build your brand or sell your product? If so, get your product placement and advertising needs handled right here at The Sphere. We offer a wide variety of content delivery platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Plus, we have a vast demographic reach within the United States, as well as modern countries across the globe. Our enriched content and inspiring dialogue, coupled with your strategic ad, is surely to hit the mark every time. Call us today at area code 832-772-7789, or send an email over to advertise@thesphere.tv. Again, that number is 832-772-7789, or email us at advertise@thesphere.tv. We look forward to hearing from you soon.
We do. Get your ad on here now.
Get your ad on here now. Ad. A-D.
Right.
Ad.
Get your ad on here.
Okay. Make sure we clarify that. We are a wholesome show. We kick a verse but don't curse. A wholesome show. Listen. Okay. Now, oh no, H&M. Oh no. Now this is hard. This is problematic for me because I know that many of the companies that a lot of the younger generation, or even me, but a lot of the companies that we flock to, the Zaras, the H&Ms, that are considered to be affordable fashion, are not U.S. companies. But H&M recently offered a look, their lookbook, their advertising, and they had a young African American male, young boy, black boy in a nice green sweater, kind of like what you have on.
My word.
And unfortunately, the printed hooded top actually said "the coolest monkey in the jungle." Now, again, I will say this: H&M is not an American company, and so our perspective of racial issues and the context of race, is a little bit different from us than it is for a lot of places. And I know you made that point earlier when we were discussing it, but I do believe, and this is essential, that when you have a company as big as H&M, as large as they are, you also have to have a diversity group. You also have to have persons that can weigh in on what will work across the globe. It's not like fast food is a little different, because every time like a McDonald's goes into a new country, it has to learn the menu. Right. It has to learn what they can serve, what's going to work, what's going to sell. They do some probing,
and market research.
They market research. I don't think this is, it's a little different in that this applies to a group of people that are everywhere in the world.
Right.
The term monkey for an African American person, or for a black person,
right,
whether you are African American or otherwise, whether you are from here and you black, Europe you're black, Africa, wherever you live,
right,
Spain, Spanish speaking countries, you're black. And historically, the monkey is a negative connotation for black person. And I don't see, I'm just trying to figure out, because that had to go real far. You made the hoodies, which would have worked for anybody else but a black person, right? But you put a young black boy in the hoodie. I don't think he picked it.
No, you don't. He's a model. He doesn't pick it. He's a model.
And they printed it, and I don't think nobody checked the book. So I remember seeing The Devil Wears Prada. People check the book before they goes to print.
So this is the thing. Yes, H&M is a Swedish company. They are based out of Sweden. Sweden. They are, I want to say, the second or third largest retailer in terms of number of stores in the country, right? Or not in the country, in the world. But they do, and I looked this up before we left, they do about 63% of their revenue in the United States.
Okay, well, so they should have known
better. They should have known better. Corporate responsibility is a concept, right, that talks about corporations, businesses, understanding the community's needs, what's going on.
Yeah.
And given that there's so much of our dollar, of our American dollar, our African American dollar, whether the boy is African American or not, he's black.
He is black.
And we identify with him as one of our little brothers or our sons or our nephews, right? Our grandsons.
He is.
It falls under corporate responsibility to say, to be able to have people who are hired and well versed enough and thoughtful enough to have to understand cultural sensitivity across the board, right? Yeah. Whether it's because they would not. I'm just being honest with you. They would not. They would dare not put some sort of a young lady with a hijab, right, on with something that's offensive to the Muslim community. They just wouldn't do it. They wouldn't. I know that they're from Sweden, but they're not that disconnected because we spend too much money with the organization. And so when the Weeknd pulls out with his stuff, right, because he and I applaud him. I applaud everybody because this is untenable and it's unfathomable. It just shouldn't be accepted.
And it's unfortunate because H&M is one of those stores. I remember when H&M first, I don't say how they first came to the U.S., but I remember when I first heard about H&M a long time ago. When I would go take my trips to New York, because that's where I knew them to be at the time, because they had not spread out from New York yet. I enjoyed knowing that persons that I looked up to in music and fashion in art and entertainment always had some type of collaboration with H&M. And it was always H&M's platform has always been a social responsibility platform. I mean, you know that when you go to H&M, you can donate any type of clothes there. It could be old clothes, whatever. They take it all. It doesn't have to be H&M stuff because their whole thing is they repurpose stuff. They're like, we want to make sure we're giving back to the community. So you make a really good point, because I'm like, if you're doing over 60% of your sales in the U.S., knowing how diverse the United States is, but you also know that we have a culture issue and a race issue here in the United States, it would seem that someone on the team would say, "Hey, this may not fly."
Right.
Especially the monkey thing. Now you can make the sweaters all you want to, and the parent decides to buy or somebody buys it.
They'll
as
put a
gift,
little
that's
black boy
fine.
in it.
But you just, for advertising purposes, for marketing purposes, I just don't think it sent the right message. They did issue an apology, but the apology, a lot of people like, is just not enough, because you guys have enough resources to do the planning for that.
Yes. Period.
Even if they made a last minute change in the wardrobe room, you know what? Let's let him wear a giraffe sweater, because that's not gonna fly. Celia, let's change him to, I mean, like
Right.
something that quick. I don't know if there was a Celia in the room, but somebody like that, like, hey, let's know that's not gonna work.
Right.
I don't know everything, but I know that monkey sweater's not gonna work on that young man.
Yeah.
Let's change him and her, switch these sweaters out,
Right.
and make sure that he looks. And then of course the comment of, if your parent is on set, mom, dad, don't let it go that far. Don't let it go that far. So it's unfortunate. Now let's talk about local stuff.
Let's do it. Here in Houston.
Now, here in Houston, y'all. Now, maybe it's me, and maybe I just feel like people are getting more and more crazy. And I remember when I first heard about this story, but we're bringing it back. This is like a circle back moment. There was a couple in Katy, Texas, which is a suburb of Houston, for those who are tuning in outside of Houston. And this couple who pled guilty to federal charges related to forcing a Nigerian woman to work for nearly 20 hours a day for 2 years, held her as hostage. And what they did was, pretty much, they would only let her, she had to get up at 5:30, go to bed at 1 a.m. She couldn't take breaks. She had to eat leftovers. She drank milk. She had to drink milk out of bowls that were left from the kids' cereal that were on the table. She could not take a hot shower. I try to, in my mind, try to think about it. I don't know if it's a rational way to think about it. I just want to implore everyone, please don't do no dumb stuff like this. This is stupid.
It's
stupid, because it's not. It's stupid.
It's literally slavery. It's literally human trafficking. It's literally what it is. It's literally what it is. She only got $100 a day.
No,
and
a month.
A month. I'm sorry, a month. And she was naturalized and a citizen.
So
she was a naturalized citizen.
Black, white, or other, however you classify people, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. No one deserves to be enslaved.
Period, man.
No one deserves
disgusting
to be enslaved.
But again, please help me with this one. They were only sentenced to 7 months in jail, 7 months of home confinement, and then 3 years of probation. I don't understand that. I don't get it. I do not get it.
And they have to pay $121,000 worth of restitution.
Right. Now that's fair.
I don't know. I don't know if you can't ever make up for time lost. Time is the most expensive commodity that we have in this world. No matter who you are, you can never get time back. You can always make your money back. You can always, you know what I'm saying? Like, money can be made back. Mm-hmm. Time, you can never get time back. Every moment is so precious. And it's unfortunate because this person now has to deal with the trauma of what happened to her, because someone was being greedy and lazy and didn't want to pay for the services that people are offering, right? People offer the service, and it's not that expensive. Like, there's nannies out there, there are housekeepers out there are maids out there that would have done what they locked this woman up to do.
$100 a month, and wouldn't let her leave. Kept her passport, lied on her visa documentation.
Giving the wrong information.
It's crazy, man. It's disgusting. It's literally disgusting.
It really is. It's disgusting.
And then for those who are outside of Houston, the stretch where Katy resides is I-10, Interstate 10, going east and west, and that is the human trafficking hub of the United States. That stretch from Katy to Houston is the human trafficking hub. And so stuff like that is absolutely not uncommon.
And it's terrible.
Unfortunately.
It's terrible. Okay, let's do a really quick society second.
Let's do it.
Now let's run through some transportation news real quickly. Okay, so stuff has been happening in the air. You know, early in the year, we had a whole bunch of stories about crazy things happening on airplanes. Now it's gone to another level where we have passengers doing crazy things. So we have an air assault. I call it an air assault. A passenger on United Airlines flight from Anchorage, Alaska, decided that he felt some type of way and smeared his excrement, his number 2, around the plane. He decided that it wasn't fit for the toilet. And he actually started trying to smear it in the faces of persons. Excuse me. No, he didn't. He was smearing his feces everywhere on the plane. He didn't put it on anyone specifically, but his feces was all over the plane. I don't know why.
I just have one comment. Just one. We can go to the next one. That's a crappy situation, boy.
That was a crappy. He'll be here all week, y'all.
But it's terrible, man.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. Mental illness is real.
Yeah, he's got to be crazy. Okay, number 2. A sleeping woman on a plane wakes up. This was on a Spirit Airlines. Wakes up to a man's hand down her pants. She was in the window seat. He was in the middle seat, and his wife was on the aisle seat. She woke up with the man's hand down her pants. Her shirt was unbuttoned. She freaked out, went to the back of the plane, told the flight attendant. Of course, they made sure that he was arrested as soon as they touched down. They told her she could stay in the back of the plane to calm her down. And he is now charged with aggravated sexual abuse and has been held without bail.
Well, he should. Good job. I'm glad Spirit handled that correctly, because I keep using this word, disgusting. The society right now is disgusting.
She was 22 years old.
Oh, poor thing. Poor babe.
You know how that's gross.
It's
on
disgusting.
So many levels, is gross. Okay, another transportation issue, y'all. Y'all be careful when y'all travel, because there's some crazy people out there. A white supremacist faces terror charges. This is new. What you say about that? So apparently this actually happened in October in Nebraska. We didn't hear about it in October because y'all remember the fall of this year in the United States was quite crazy. We had those natural disasters, the storms, the floods, things that were happening all over our country. We had Vegas happen. But this happened October 22nd in Oxford, Nebraska, about 200 miles southwest of Omaha. He actually was standing in front of a railroad. An Amtrak train was coming. He decided to pull out his guns and his weaponry. And he had a knife. He had a lot of ammunition. He had a loaded revolver, and he had his nationalist gear on. So saying what he was, who he was. So he didn't hide that. And the court documents show that his activity is linked to a white supremacist group. The train actually had 175 people aboard it when it halted October 22nd, and he was detained by employees of Amtrak.
Well, good.
Until the police came.
Good.
We didn't hear about it in the news, but again, this is happening, y'all. We're going to say that's not going to happen in 2018, but in 2017, all the nuts got out of the crazy house.
And I'm glad they called it what it was, a terrorist attack, because that is a terrorist. That is an attack of terror for sure.
It's an attack of terror. Here's another attack of terror that's really
mild.
My
gosh.
I'm just call a society second, but it's really mild. But I'm gonna jump around a little bit here. Let's talk about the students who leave the KKK pancakes in IHOP. I think that's a terrorist attack.
That's just stupid.
It's creating a hostile work environment. This lady said she was really like, I can't believe this really happened to me. I'm working at IHOP, and instead of a tip, the kids decided to leave KKK pancakes. Y'all,
listen. The article says we're filing this under just plain racism, man, because that's what it is. It's just racism. It's just, and even if the really intelligent, I'm being facetious, children are saying, well, yeah, it was just a joke. It's just dumb. You don't do that. That lets you know where we are currently as a society when it comes to race relations. It's terrible. It's bad.
Absolutely horrible. Okay, so that's all the craziness. Not all of it, but all of it. Now in Baltimore.
This is crazy for real.
This is crazy. No, seriously, this is crazy. Now, y'all, okay, over the break, Houston, Texas got really cold weather, and I'm one of those that I love the cold. I don't necessarily like to be in a blizzard or anything like that. I've been in a blizzard before. I don't like that feeling, but I like cold weather because I like the opportunity to dress a certain way. I like layers and sweaters and things like that, which we have 10 months of heat, and so and 2 months of mildness, not cold but mild weather. But in Baltimore, Maryland, y'all know it gets really cold in Baltimore.
And they're on the Eastern Seaboard dealing with what's going on right now.
Right. So it is brick. That's what they call it on that side. It's called brick, y'all. It's brick. It's brick. It's cold out there. And in the middle of freezing cold temperatures, the teachers returned back to school and was shocked that the city of Baltimore school district had no heat in the classroom. Students are in classrooms with no heat. The furnace is not working or something. And everybody is teaching with their jackets on, their hoodies on, gloves. And these teachers are devoted. The students are devoted because they have every right to say, we're not going to come to school anymore. And it makes you wonder, because this is Baltimore, Maryland. Maryland has been the scene over the past 2-3 years of a lot of troublesome activity. It's what is happening that will make this be, that heat would not be a priority for these babies.
So Baltimore, Maryland is a Title IX. It's a Title IX district, which means the majority of the schools in the district are underserved. That they're dealing with children who are at or below the poverty line. So many of these kids go to school just to eat, right? And so because they're getting breakfast and they're getting a lunch, right? And so you can guarantee 2 hots there. And so you have that reality. Then you also have so I don't necessarily fault parents for having their students go if this is where they're getting their food, if this is their situation. But where I fault the mayor, I fault the city council, I fault the superintendent, everyone for not staying on top of this. Now, because there was a blizzard up there again, there's a management conundrum in which people couldn't get out there to make sure that the schools were properly heated. They couldn't cut the heat on the day before or whatever. I've read a lot of articles to that regard. To which my retort is, well, you wait till you cut them on and you wait till they get hot and they get warm. You wait. You send out an email. You say, you know what I'm saying, do not come. You send a press release to the news when they close schools. They do the same thing, and people, you know what I'm saying, and do not come. And once we get these schools heated up, warmed, that then we'll allow it. And if it doesn't happen, and let's fast forward. I did see a lot on social media as well as some articles saying that a lot of celebrities, athletes, and community members rallied behind this when they found out this was going on.
They were
and
donating.
bought heaters.
Yeah, they went and bought.
Yeah, they bought space heaters, and so that lets you know the electricity works. Because if you're buying a space heater and you're putting it in there, it's not an electrical issue. And this is what I'm saying.
And that's why I
upsets me, man.
It makes me really upset because I'm like, I don't like these targeted. I feel like it's a targeted activity toward persons who really don't have any control in a situation. Like, these are children.
Kids.
You don't hurt these kids. Like, none of us asked to be here. None of us, I don't think we did ask to be here. And then we got here, we decided we were going to, create a certain type of lifestyle. We were born into this world. And
into our circumstance. And you don't treat persons like this. Like, we're not social experiments. We're not science. We're not lab rats. Yeah. You don't see how long they can go without heat until you decide to make some changes. So I just feel like it's really unfortunate. And we're seeing this type of behavior in 2018. Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Now, real quick before we wrap up and get out of here, we talked about what's happening. We talk about our white knight, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, white knight. She's rallying to make sure she has done what she was supposed to do.
Yes, she did.
Hired the clerks and said she's not leaving until 2020, which y'all know is the next major presidential election. Well, one of the persons that was supposed to be named as the federal judge, of course, has been blocked. It was blocked. It wasn't blocked just because Ruth said no go, but it was blocked because he has a history of, supporting voter suppression laws like the Jim Crow voting laws, and he was supposed to be on target to become a federal judge. He is a person that our current president does support. He is in North Carolina, and although he will not get that federal judgeship, in terms of Supreme Court, he possibly could get a federal position in North Carolina.
Yeah, Judge Farr.
Judge Farr. Y'all need to be aware of this. Persons in North Carolina, pay attention to it because it's the thought process. These persons with these thought processes that believe in Jim Crow voting laws that can actually hurt us as a nation, not as a group, not as an ethnic group, but as a nation. Yes, these Jim Crow laws do affect black persons specifically because of how they are crafted and where they are targeted. However, it can hurt us as a nation specifically. Right?
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate. So these are the things that we need to pay attention to. It didn't make major news, which lets you know you need to pay attention to it. You need to be able to read these things shared with persons that you know, Facebook it, whatever you need to do to make sure those persons in North Carolina are vigilant about these midterm elections, these elections that are coming up.
For sure. And it's really important because of this thing called precedent, right?
Yeah.
So once one state does it, then another state has a leg up to which it can potentially be done, and then you can go to 2, 3 states and 5 states, and so we really have to pay attention to what's going on in our neighboring states around this country, because once these precedents are started, and folks that are in power get this bright idea to try to do things similarly. This is how the stand your ground thing happened, right? This is what's called a castle doctrine. Stand your ground thing was only in a couple of states. Then other states found out about it and just began to pass it. And then now you have 18, 19 states around the 22 states, around the U.S. that have stand your ground laws. So,
and let me just say this, because you made a really good point. Stand your ground laws on its face sounds like it would benefit the majority of people. A lot of times when we go to these ballots and these polls to vote, we don't know all the details of what we're voting for.
Right.
It is imperative that before you cast your vote, you have all the information, because on its face, telling someone that they have the right to stand their ground sounds like the right thing to do. The same thing applies here. If you tell somebody, okay, we're not really blocking the ability to vote, we just want to make sure people are credentialed to vote, you have to know every line of that to make sure that you're in agreement, because a lot of times we're voting for stuff that we don't know what we're voting for.
Yep.
And we are complicit in the outcome of what happened. So make sure you're aware and you're knowledgeable. Now, finally,
hey, we got to give one clap for this one.
Finally, I just, last year changed my life because I was introduced to the show that's called This Is Us.
Listen, I ain't never cried so much.
The star of the show, his name is Sterling K. Brown. And he is one who made waves last night at the Golden Globes, because he was the first male African-American actor to win in his category ever. Last year, he was not nominated, right? He was nominated for his work on the O.J. Simpson, the People versus O.J., but he wasn't nominated for this show. But he was nominated yesterday, and he won that award, and he actually shouted out the person who wrote the role, and he said, "Thank you for writing a role for a black man that no one else could play."
Right.
Y'all don't understand how important that is, because a lot of times they write roles for us or about us, but they're not for us, right? So they'll write a role about a black person, but expect someone non-black to play it.
Yeah.
And he shouted him out. He talked about his life. He talked about the legacy he wants to leave for his family. He talked about, like I shared with you, about how none of the men in his family have ever lived past the age of 65. He made it a point to tell his kids on the mic that he would be home in time for them, for school, and it's that type of changing the face of what the black male looks like in public, on screen.
Right.
The platform is there, and I just want to clap him.
Listen,
so he deserves a shout out. Black magic. They forget that there's magic in these hands. That's what a professor told me recently. There's magic in these hands. That is so funny. But shout out to Sterling K. Brown, because like he said, that role couldn't be played by anybody that wasn't an African-American male.
Absolutely.
And it's a powerful role that he plays, and it does carry the story of This Is Us. I don't think anybody else could do it. I love the diversity of the cast, but that role is meant for him.
Agreed.
Absolutely. So I want to say thank you, everybody, for welcoming us back to 2018 with Hey. Make sure y'all do y'all subscriptions.
Go to subscribe. Go to Facebook. Subscribe. Go to iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast information. We're there.
We're there. We're so happy to be back for 2018. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. My name is Kira Laws. You can follow me on Instagram at The Modern Day Cindy.
I'm Kaden Laws. You can follow me on all social media platforms at SeniorWapo713, or go to my blogs, www.SeniorWapo713.com.
And you're going to be seeing some hot fire from him this year. Hot fire. We're going to bring him back for an interview. And we should be seeing a return of Miranda Inc. soon. So,
hey, Miranda, shout out to you. We miss you.
Yeah, so we just peace, love, and
hair grease.
I was going to say that too, but I didn't say it. We'll see y'all next week.